Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Tom Vanke. I'm working for the company Nine Sigma. And today, Stefano and I will give you a short introduction about what is going to happen next now that you've all been selected as a voucher winner for our open call. For your information, this session will be recorded and will be available at the OI2 Lab webpage in case you want to re-listen to it after this session here. Also, the presentation will be shared with all participants here and the people who missed this one. Now, our webinar will be structured as follows. So we already covered the welcome. First, we will give you a short introduction and an overview of the results of our open call. Then we will show you a few features of the OI2 Lab platform which might be useful during the coming period. Now, since you're all here because you were awarded with the Open Innovation Voucher, we will highlight the most important aspects of this program, of this voucher program. And at the end, there will be a Q&A. In case certain things are still not clear, you can post your questions in the dedicated Q&A box, and we will try to respond during this Q&A session. If we are not sure about the answer, then we will come back to you later with an answer to the question. And for example, if you're having another question tomorrow or the day after, you can always ask your account managers and they will reply to that as soon as possible. Now, as you may not know, we launched our open call, Boosting Business Growth Through Open Innovation, in September last year. It was open for about 3 months, and by the deadline, we received 67 eligible proposals from SMEs all across Europe. After the evaluation, about 54 of the proposals met the 50% threshold. Now, the 36 highest ranked participants or proposals, which you are part of, were selected and informed, of course, with an email coming directly from me about 3 weeks ago. What we've done in the meantime is we've posted your company logos at the OI2 Lab webpage and also in our social media messages. Now, if your logo is still missing, just let us know and we will make sure that we will add your company logo to this list. Now, talking about the OI2 Lab webpage, at this moment, it's not clear how much you all know about the OI2 Lab platform. So we would like to take this opportunity to quickly introduce you to the most important features and inform you of what the OI2 Lab could offer or could mean to your organization. So this is how the webpage looks like, and now the OI2 Lab is a product of the Invite Consortium, and we started about 3 years ago with developing this program and this platform. And the idea behind this was to offer SMEs and entrepreneurs a safe digital collaboration environment that should allow SMEs to connect and collaborate with external companies all across Europe, and all with the aim to accelerate their innovation cycle. When you're wandering around the platform, you'll come across different opportunities. We have an opportunity section here where we have published our previous 2 open calls, also this one. And next to our own open calls, we also have published different open calls coming from platforms, also from SMEs who have a request or a technology offer. All of them are being posted in this opportunity section. Now, once you're registered to the OI2 Lab, our smart matchmaking tool could inform an OI2 Lab user in case there is a match between, for example, an SME looking for a specific piece of technology and a company who's actually owning the piece of technology that someone was looking for. But of course, it also works in the other way around. In case there is a match, the OI2 Lab will offer you then some secure tools that allow you to connect, communicate, and virtually collaborate with the matched external organization. Now, sometimes additional financial resources are required. And to help with this, we also offered several links to various financial opportunities, and they're also being published in the financial opportunities section. Now, in addition to these opportunities, we have also developed and we are providing our users e-learning tools. And these e-learning tools are freely accessible for you all. Now, next to, let's say, the digital platform, we also have our own team of account managers and open innovation experts. And just like in this voucher scheme, they'll be at your disposal to personally assist you throughout the entire program. So it doesn't really matter in which part of the innovation cycle you are in at this moment. Now, during the next 3 months, our account managers who should have contacted you by now will guide you through the process. In case open innovation is completely new to you, we strongly advise you to have a look at the e-learning section, what I'm showing you here. And we have different lessons that show you in a simple way what open innovation is, what it actually means, and how you could create and capture value from it. So the web page looks a little bit like this, what you're seeing here on the right-hand side. And once you click on a lesson, a short PowerPoint presentation will show up and the interactive lesson begins. So you can walk through it at your own pace, take your time. But what we advise you at this moment is to have a look at this web page, which you can see here at the bottom. And when clicking this link, this would or should show up. And this page contains a topic which contains or exists out of 6 different lessons. And once you've finalized a lesson, you'll see that this 100% here shows up at the bottom. Now, at the end of a lesson, there's always a section where you can add a rating. This kind of feedback is very useful for us to know if these lessons are really useful to our users. So feel free to give us positive or also negative feedback if that's the case. Then, like I mentioned before, we have, with the OI2 Lab, we have different tools that allow you to communicate with others. So the first thing is the forum, and that allows you to post questions or reply to questions and get answers from the entire OI2 Lab community. Then we have a working space, and this is actually an environment where you can invite external people to join your private session. You can just invite everyone from different companies to talk about a certain topic. And now, if you prefer, let's say, a one-on-one session, we always have the chat box over here where you can exchange documents or discuss things in private. Now, enough said about the platform itself. You're all here because we would like to inform you what you can expect during the next 3 months, but also what we are expecting from your side. Now, everything starts with the Subgrant Agreement. After signing that, we will start with the matchmaking project. Then hopefully by the end of April, we were able to find you a suitable partner and you managed to finalize your initial collaboration. Now, as a kind of proof of your collaboration, we'll ask you to fill in a very short, 2 pages long progress report. And we would like you to submit this before the end of April. And after getting the approval from the account manager, we will pay you a voucher as a lump sum of 5,000 euros. So very short, this was a summary of how the next 3 months would look like. And Stefano, feel free to take it from here.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. It would be great if you give me back the control of my computer. That's
sure.
Okay. You should still see my screen, I hope.
Yes.
Very quickly, so my name is Stefanos Barbati and I work as project manager for Steinbeck Europa Centrum, which is one of the Invite project partners. And what we will do in the next minutes, as Tom already mentioned, is to describe a little bit the Invite Innovation voucher, how it works, and especially what process you should expect with regard to its management. We have tried to keep everything as simple and as straightforward as possible, but of course there is a certain, even though very small level of administration involved. The next slide, I will start covering the administrative section, discussing the Subgrant Agreement, which, if you want, sets the framework of the relation between you and the Invite project. So basically, what is a Subgrant Agreement? As mentioned, it's a contract that regulates the terms and conditions of the services and support measure that we provide, that Invite project provide, and it will be signed between your company or your SME and your assigned account manager company, and on behalf of the Invite consortium. It will contain all the detail and all the important information that you will need, of course, so it will go way more in detail than we are doing today. And so don't worry, the information will be also there, and it will be sent, this document, this Subgrant Agreement, by your account manager in the next days. I know some of you already have received it and signed it, so it's perfectly fine. So basically, the account manager is the contact point between you and the Invite project, and you should be able, and you want to get in touch with your assigned account manager at any time during the process to get clarification, both on the content of the project itself and on the administrative parts of it. So, as mentioned, the Subgrant Agreement will be the framework agreement which regulates the support services you have secure with the winning of the Invite second open call. What I would like to do now is to describe a little bit more in detail what kind of services, or what services these are. Basically, as you can see in the slide, we have divided them into personalized support services and financial support. The financial support is basically the 5,000 euro which we want to support your open innovation project with, and the acquisition of services and technology which are relevant to your organization, and we will talk about this money in a minute. The personalized support you will get, we believe it's also quite important, or maybe very important for your organization, and through your assigned account manager. In fact, you can access a range of services such as business needs analysis, partner search, matchmaking, and so on, which may be very useful for your company and for the project you have submitted. Of course, we understand that not every voucher winner have or has the same needs in terms of support, nor everyone of our panel of voucher winners is in the same stage of growth, let's say. That is why, again, you have an assigned account manager which will do her or his best to understand your need and to guide you toward the most suitable services for your company. So the financial support, the 5,000 euro. This slide covers basically what you can get with the voucher, or with the 5,000 euro you have secure. The list that you see here covers the bulk of the cases in which most of you will use their vouchers, such for example as the purchase of consulting service or feasibility study and so on. But of course, as I mentioned 2 minutes ago, the range of industries companies represented by the voucher winners are actually quite large. So we understand that this categorization may not fit 100% in some cases, which is fine, and we suggest once again to check with your account manager whether the expenses you are planning to do is in line with or satisfy the eligibility criteria sets here. And once again, this kind of information will be in the subgrant agreement that we will send to you. What is very important is, however, the nature of the service provider you will choose. Basically, you have to acquire the service or the knowledge or other or whatever falls in the category above from a provider which is a business based in the European Union or in the Horizon 2020 associated countries, which are a list of countries which is associated with the Horizon 2020 research and innovation program of the European Union, which basically covers the cost of your voucher and the support you will get. And this company should be not only based in EU or an associated country, but must be also registered in a country different than your company's one. This is because the goal of the INVITE project is to promote open innovation at the international level, the European level. So this is why we set this as a condition for the voucher. In a nutshell, this means that as long as your partner is a registered business in one of the European country which is not yours, you're good to go. So that's in a nutshell this condition. Now, let's assume that you find the most suitable partner which fulfills all the conditions before, that you execute your project perfectly, everything went smooth. So what do you need to do to get this 5,000 euro in your bank account, basically? As I mentioned, we wanted to keep this process as easy and uncomplicated as possible, but of course we also need means to track the process and try to understand the value that the open innovation process has generated within your organization. That is why we will ask you to submit a final progress report, which will include which will cover the following areas of progress and outcome achieved during the project, the added value, the impact and future plans, and the resource used and justification of expenses you incur during the project. It will be very, very short. It will take a couple of pages maximum, so don't worry too much about the burden that this final progress report will put on your organization. It won't be quite much problematic. So very important as well is the invoice, which is part of the supporting document that you will have to submit. Because basically this invoice is a proof of service that is a proof that you bought these services or products or what else, and that these services were actually acquired and paid. So the invoice is basically important for us both as a proof of payment and as a support document that we will have to provide to the European Commission. Also, what is very, very important is that the invoice should be in line with what you had described in your application, in the sense that we should be able to easily link the invoice with the action you have described in your application form. And of course, that doesn't mean that it must be a copy paste from there, but it means that it should be reasonably in line with the goal of the project you have submitted to us and for which you have been granted this 5,000 euro and innovation support. Important here is also that we can we will be able to pay your voucher only if the final report and supporting valid invoice have been submitted. So this is actually something that we will require if so if these conditions are not met, unfortunately, we won't be able to proceed with your payment. The deadline to submit the progress report is April, so end of April 2020. And of course, that doesn't mean that you have to submit on that date. You can submit also earlier if your project is you complete your project early. But again, that's something that you will discuss one-on-one with your account manager, and you see the best time frame for your project. The end of April is actually the very last date in which you will be able to submit your final progress report. And as you can see here, actually we will aim, if you submit, let's say in the case you submitted for your final progress report on April, so on the very last date, then you can expect the payment to be approved and executed on by the end of May 2020. Of course, once again, this is something that you should double check one-on-one with your assigned account manager, but we will try our best to provide you with support as quick and as on time as possible. But this process here is in general what you could expect from the project. So I think this is basically it in a nutshell. And if I'm not wrong, we have this Q&A question in which we will give the floor to you.
So indeed, so in case something is not clear, feel free to post a message in the Q&A box, which you can find, I think, at the bottom of your screen. Now, we have already received a few questions in the past couple of days, so perhaps we can start talking about that. And in the meantime, you can just type in your questions if you still have some. So one question was like, we're always talking about the 5,000 euro voucher and we need an invoice for that. Does this invoice need to be exactly 5,000 euros, or what in case, for example, you're buying this service from another company and he has an invoice which is 7, 8, 9,000 euros, for example. So what will happen then is you can just use the 5,000 euros what we're paying you for the first part, and of course everything else needs to be covered then by your own company.
We have a couple of questions both on the voucher payment. So one is from Jens. Is the voucher payment a fixed date or 1 month after the submission of the final report? It's not a fixed date. So the 31st of May is the latest date in which we get the money. Actually, we aim to pay you within 15 days from the approval of the final report, which means that if you submit, and now I will just link with the question from Julian Holtzman, if you, let's say, submit your final report on March 15, we will aim to pay you 15 days later if everything is actually if we approve everything, so if we have all the documentation in there, is there, and so on and so forth. So you can expect also a payment before that date. So What if the invoice is less than 5,000 euros? You should aim actually, and it's Alejandro, you should, we support a process and open acquisition of services and so forth of 5,000 euro or more. So that means that we need the supporting documentation, which is at least of 5,000 euro. Then let me also check the.
So the next question coming from Normund. You mentioned that I understood that your whole payment has to be around 20,000 euros and the 5,000 euro part is being reimbursed. So if I understand it correctly, you've already talked with someone and you think that this entire sum will be at the end 20,000 euros. So indeed, only 5,000 euros will be covered from our side, and probably then you'll have to find other additional resources to cover, let's say, the other 15,000. I hope that answers your question, and if not, feel free to explain this to us.
Mm-hmm. I see also a couple of questions here from Calypso on the chat. Please use the question and answer functionality so we don't lose any of your question. Anyway, do we pay the invoice on our own and then get the money reimbursed? Or do you pay the invoice directly? No, you have to pay on your own and you will submit the invoice that basically you've paid as part of your of the documentation, and we will then proceed with the 5,000 euro payment to you, to the winning organization, to the applicants and winning organization. Should it be on different voice, this 5K if the expense is bigger? No, it's okay, as long as the bigger invoice can be, as I mentioned, actually linked to the scope and the goal of the project you have submitted and for which you have been awarded. So that's quite important. We must always be able to link the invoice that you submit with the project that you have submitted, actually. Normund also, how it is the 20,000 tracket of the whole project. I'm not sure exactly what's.
Well, actually, from our side, we don't need, let's say, need to know what's happening after the 5,000 euros, I would say. So the initial part of your collaboration with that external partner, that's where we're interested in it, and we really need to know if something happened. But after that, it's you who takes it from there, and that's actually, let's say, independent from this voucher scheme.
Yeah, then I wonder if you had any template for the final progress report. We have, of course, we have, and we will share it due date. So don't worry, you are covered on this. Paul Marshall, what happens if the selected partner can carry out the work in time to complete the report by the end of April? But that's actually a bit tricky. Probably the best thing you can do is to check with your account manager in detail. So see the situation in detail and see what is the measure that you can actually put in place to avoid any problems for what regards reporting and so on. So I suggest you to check with your account manager. John, what happens if I haven't finished the work at the time I need to submit the final report? I think this actually applies the same answer that I have actually done before. Best thing you can do is to directly address the question with your account manager and see with him basically what you could do or what kind of mitigation measure you can put in place.
Then there is a question from Julian.
Mhm.
Is there a press release or a link that we can get to promote the selection for the grant? So it should be available at the OI2 Lab, also in the news section and at the invite webpage. What we could do is, since we're going to share this presentation with all of you, we will include this link in this presentation, and then afterwards you can use that and to promote that you got selected for this grant.
Yeah. So fine. Norman, is it possible to just do a launch of a project which is worth 5,000 euro? If I understand correctly, your whole project is 5,000 euro. So if this is the case, it's
That's
fine.
fine. Yeah,
No problem.
correct.
Then does the payment to our partner be yes, actually so the invoice actually means that you should we need this also as a proof of payment. So once you send us the invoice, we assume that the collaboration or cooperation is actually finalized between the two of you. Of course, we won't be able to see if you actually transfer the money or not. That's something that's between your business and the other, but we assume, of course, that the transfer has been done and the payment has been done. So there might be a case if auditing processes will be taking place that we will ask for proof of payment. So you should keep everything on the records.
Now, from Lars, he mentioned this comment. If we understood it correctly, that the total invoice has to be much more than 5,000, like we mentioned, for example, at 20K, to get the 5K reimbursed. So that, no, that's not really the case. I think that was just one specific or case here. So if what we need is just, let's say, the first 5,000 euros. If it's 5,001 euro, then of course that €1 is coming from, let's say, your directly from your company. But no, it's not that. The entire invoice has to be, let's say, about 20 or 10K or something like that.
Natalia, hello, thanks a lot for your time. Okay, so the two questions from Calypso. The invoice can be multiple. They can. And do we pay the invoice on our own? Okay, yes, we already answered this too. Okay. Kilian, what if you have two providers?
Yeah, same answer again.
Same answer, exactly.
So that's possible as long as let's say it's clear that it's all in scope of what you have described in your proposal. It's fine if one is, for example, charging you 2,000 euros and the other one 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
That is all being covered by this grant.
One supply collaborator can be more than one. Yes, that's the case that you already answered. Julian, if your partner is a EU company, do they need to be on a OA2 platform? They do not, but we strongly advise them to register. You can get, Natalia, multiple services that together add to 5,000 euro as long as already mentioned, they are clearly linked to the project that you have actually submitted and that you were selected for. Alexander, at the end of the project, will anything from the project need to be made public for the OE2 lab? Yes, actually, we plan to have kind of dissemination, let's say, campaign with the best result that come out from this, from you, basically. But you will be, we get in touch with you. If this is the case, of course, we may have to publish a short summary of your of your project and of the result of your cooperation. That section will be in the final progress report, and it will be clearly marked that this part will be can be published on our website.
Mm.
But of course, we don't advise you to put any IP sensible or sensible information in general there. Lily, if you have already found a service provider, does it have to be approved by the account manager? So it doesn't have to be approved, but please contact your account manager and discuss the situation with him and check with him. Of course, we are not policing any kind of collaboration that your company has, of course, but we need to make sure that the collaboration actually is in line with the requirements that we have internally, both internally and from the European Commission. So yes, check with your account manager. Jens. The timeline for the project is around 3 months. The part of the foreign subcontract ends roughly after 5 weeks. Do we have to finalize the project to receive the voucher, or is it okay to send the bill of the subcontractor as early as possible? That depends actually on your project and what actually you have described in your application form. So probably the best thing again is to get in contact with your account manager, which knows your project and knows the situation, and then you can discuss the details.
But I think you don't need to wait until April to, let's say,
Of course, no.
provide us the bill, send us the invoice and your progress report. So as soon as you have finalized your collaboration and you have, let's say, some time to fill in your progress report and you got the invoice, then feel free to reach out to your account manager.
Yep.
And I think that's actually about it, what we have.
We answer all
Of open questions at this
question.
moment. So again, if someone has additional questions that pop up tomorrow or the day after, feel free to reach out to your account manager. In case they haven't contacted you yet, just let me know and I'll make sure that we have the right contact details. And we'll put you in touch with your account manager. So I think that's actually it for today.
Yeah, so maybe let's...
So thank you very much. This was a very nice session. Nice to see that you had so many questions.
Thank you.
And talk to you later.
Thank you once again from my side, and let's close it for today, and good luck with your Open Innovation project, and we hope to talk to you very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.